What do you think is the number one problem teachers experience in their classrooms?
Number one problem, classroom management.
Candace says classroom management. Kim, what do you think?
I can't pick the same thing.
So you would agree? You think classroom?
Yeah, I agree. Classroom management.
Okay. Katie, what do you think?
I was trying to go more specific, but broadly wise, I'd say that too.
So the number one problem most teachers experience is being able to manage their students and get them excited about learning, right?
Get them engaged. Get them engaged.
Engagement.
Yeah. Okay. So would you agree, as teachers who've been doing this a very long time and being professionals, that when your students are engaged, classroom management is usually much easier?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
So why do you think teachers have a difficult time engaging their students?
Think. Oh!
They don't connect with what's being taught.
I think it's the management of time for me,
Or
because
they don't.
You have this much to get through. And I think people, myself included, sometimes is like, oh, I have to cover this topic. And so whether you're engaged or not, we have so much to get through. And if I could slow down, which I do, and just truly engage in those teachable moments throughout the lesson. It's not the lesson, but it's the moments within the lesson. But I think that is a common something that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I think some teachers struggle with making it relevant, whatever the content is they're teaching, making that relevant to their students' lives so the kids see a purpose in learning it.
Other than you have a test coming up.
Other than you have to learn it because you do.
Okay, so I like that. So I have a test coming up. We'll engage some students who really care about their grades, students who want to please the teacher, right? So that will actively engage. What percentage of students do you think we have a test coming up will be engaged just from that? This will be on your test.
10%.
10?
80.
So if I am giving a lecture and I say, okay, teachers out there, this is going to be on your test, some of you think 10% of the students, some of you think 80 are going to go, okay.
But then I think it depends on the population at your school too.
Oh, okay. So it depends. So there are some classes, maybe high level honors classes, where if I say that, I might get 90% who care, right?
Yeah.
And then
I was thinking about a class that I'm actually enrolled in and have to take a test after we do this call. And so I'm like, yep, 80%, but it's again, it's that type of, it's depending on the class, your population, et cetera. So.
Sure. Well, and when you have a class like me in math, where I have students who are at a first grade level all the way to a 7th grade level, the lower end kids have already given up, or they've already told themselves they can't do it, even though I'm scaffolding and trying to help them reach that, curriculum and that standard and that level of knowledge.
So it would be me in a math class, Kim. Like for me right now, I think that mindset, and I have some, I've talked to some friends of mine and they're like, oh, I can do chemistry and math, but oh, please don't make me take an English class. And I go, oh, I would love English classes. I would sign up to write all the time, but don't make me take a math class. So even as an adult, let alone a 12-year-old, we have this preconceived of, oh, please do it. Don't make me sit through a math class, because I've already decided that it's going to be horrible because it's so hard. So I think that flipping that again, looking in the mirror and going, okay, what are our students thinking and doing that we forget that, yeah, it's easy for us because this is our content area. This is our focus. This is what we do day in, day out. But if you don't, and you're in something that is new, whether it's you as a teacher or thinking from your student's perspective, I think that changes everything.
You know what? That's why I start every year really strong teaching growth mindset, because all of us know we have students who come to us say, oh, I stink at math. I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at reading. And really getting that buy-in that, yeah, well, everybody has their strengths, their weaknesses, just like us as teachers. We really excel in certain areas, and then we need more support in others. Our students are no different. And so trying to really instill that sense of growth mindset and building the community where everybody, they feel safe, and you have students helping students, get where they need to go is so important.
Kim, that is exactly what we're here to talk about today, because each teaching style is really good at giving our students one of the 5 major things that they crave and need for learning. But all of our students need all 5 all of the time, which means we as teachers all have something we're really good at with helping our students that they need, whether that's security or growth mindset, like your top power dressers or growth mindset. Simply Stylish are really, really good at security. Vintage are good at pushing them and keeping rigor so they're engaged because they're learning new things and they're not bored. And the key is that each teacher needs to know what they're good at, but also maybe what they need to work on. And so today I want to introduce 5 major things that every student, no matter if they're in special education or honors, no matter if they love school or hate school, if you can hit these 5 major things in your classroom, you're going to find a classroom where students are thriving, they're having fun, and you're not going to have classroom management problems. And the first one is exactly what Kim said, it's security. So our Simply Stylish teachers give us security. Now brainstorm, why do you think that is? Why are our Simply Stylish teachers so good at helping kids feel secure?
Well, they have routines and structures, and it's predictable. The kids know what to expect. And that's like ultimate security.
Yeah.
I think also the Simply Stylish teacher doesn't put up with, tries to keep the kids communicating with each other and keeping them positive, no negativity, no put downs. And if something like that does happen, that teacher immediately intervenes to put a stop to it.
Right. They're very aware.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because Simply Stylish teachers are very routine and they're very aware and they know what's happening in their classroom because of the structure, right? So they're on top of that.
And all those consequences are very clear for the students. So they know if I do this, then this is going to happen. Or this person over here, they did this one thing, they broke rule number 1, be safe. And I know that since they broke it, the teacher's going to take care of it. So I don't have to worry.
Yeah, I can tell the teacher,
Front-loaded.
trust the teacher to be fair and consistent, right?
Mhm.
Fair and consistent, and that creates safety because you believe if you put in a good effort, you'll get a fair grade. If something unjust happens to you, there will be a consequence. So Simply Stylish teachers are very good at this. They're very good at creating security for students. But as we know, we need a lot more than just security for students to excel. Because one of the problems is, especially for kids maybe who struggle with ADHD or other, can you hear them in the background?
Okay. Speaking of, I've got ADHD supposedly.
Yeah. You'll put the GIF in there or something. They need to be challenged, and if they don't, and their mind might wander, and so they might have structure, but that structure might actually not let them have novelty or not let them have rigor. And so it's really important when kids are learning, but they're not learning the same thing over and over again. And so what's so great about a vintage teacher is that vintage teachers offer rigor. And so why do we think rigor is so important in engagement? Why is a hard class actually more engaging than an easy class?
Well, I don't know. I kind of think of like soccer, like my kids play soccer. And so if you go to a game and your team is winning 7-0, like every goal after that is not exciting because you're like, this is too easy. This is
where's the challenge? Right.
Yeah, where's the challenge? But if you're like fighting your way and it's like tied and then you get a goal and then the other team does, and then it's exciting because you're like pushed to do better.
Right. I was reading this when I was putting all this together, I was reading this interesting research about high demand religions and actually even like religions that expect a lot more and how their practitioners are more engaged and more involved. And I thought that seems so true because a lot of times it was my AP teachers that I would work the hardest for, and I was, I would fight the most for their classes. I think that what vintage teachers do is they find that sweet spot. Like you said, Candace, they don't let themselves be 0 to 7 or 7 to 0. They hold their students always in a place of just a little bit more, and it keeps them engaged, and they use competition really well and engagement for curiosity and learning and critical thinking.
I think there's a big difference between like knowing how to do that where the kids are just like pushed a little bit versus like being so rigorous that they feel defeated. So that's something that vintage teachers are really great at, is knowing where that balance lies.
Or what supports to put in to help them attain that rigor. Partner work, pairing up students appropriately, or giving them the tools so that they are able to meet that.
As a vintage teacher, I'm going to give the teachers out there a surprise trick that I think you'll find interesting. So I make 3 versions of my tests, and I call them a slightly below grade level test, an on grade level test, and an honors or above level test. And about 3 times a year, I let the kids pick which version of the test they're going to take. And I think the assumption when I first started would be that a significant number of the kids would take the below level test, but it probably won't surprise you that about 80% of my kids choose the honors level tests in the regular classes. So 80% of my kids are so excited and confident that they'll take the harder test, but I only do that after I've built their testing confidence with me. So I've really taught them their assessment, and then I assess them only on what I've taught them and I've practiced. So they start to have that confidence that Katie was talking about, that they can do it, that they're good at this. And then once I can see that they're starting to feel good at it, I start to give them the choices. And it's really exciting because then they'll battle for who has the highest grade, and I'll add extra credit. And I think it's a really great way for the kids to say, I can do this, and take it to the next level.
And that behind the scenes, excuse me, the front loading beforehand, I think is important for that vintage piece, because without the relationship and without the security and without the connection, which I don't know what the other 4 are. I'm kind of anticipating, like, am I jumping ahead because I'm really excited? But I think it's really important to side note that of you have the relationship and the training to do it. You're not just coming in and be like, okay, you're done teaching, you're going to take this test or this test, and that, because that you don't want people comparing grades, and it's a completely different mindset. It's a paradigm shift of that friendly competition versus just being mean. And I think without the front loading and the expectations like you're describing, that someone could take that and be like, well, that's what they said to do. But it's those very subtle nuances, which is why we're talking part of FLAIR, knowing your personal style and how you do things. It's not just at face value. You can't have a computer teach that kind of stuff. Like, that's why we need our own FLAIR and our own confidence and our own moments like this to share tips and tricks and go, okay, but remember, this is something that you can't just write this down and then go read it and go, okay, I got everything, it's ready to go. That those nuances are so important for those pieces to be successful. So
yeah, because if you haven't had some quizzes where, more than 80% of your classes got 100%, they won't have the confidence to grab that big test. So just teaching them that, especially like Kim said, if they come to you thinking they're not good at the subject, then before anything, you've got to get them confident where they're at so that they're feeling like, I can do this, I can have success, and then moving forward, which is what power dressers are so good at, because power dressers make it fun and they bring novelty, and they, before you even move to high level assessment, power dressers are all about what Kim said, because I think, aren't you mostly a power dresser, Kim? And your very first comment was that you wanted growth mindset, which is exactly what power dressers bring. And so Kim, do you want to kind of summarize what growth mindset is and what you mean by that when you say you've got to have growth mindset?
Yeah, well, we compare growth mindset to a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset person comes to you and says, I stink at math, I suck at it, I'm not good at it, and so I'm not going to try. They get frustrated easily and they give up. They figure there's no point in trying. But what we teach with the growth mindset is that everybody does have their strengths, areas of strength. But even if you're smart or really good in one subject, if you keep going to a higher level, you're at some point going to get to a struggle. but it's about teaching students and colleagues that it's about putting in the effort, collaborating, and you're going to fail. You know, some of the most successful people in the world, they've failed so many times before they reach their success, whether it was learning something or building something or creating a company or a product. That's part of your growth and your learning process. And in math, I really emphasize that our mistakes make thinking happen. If you don't go back and analyze what, you know, with a fixed mindset, it's going to get stuck, make a mistake, quit, walk away. But with the growth mindset, you learn to ask for help. You're not expected to have all the answers. And it's about going back and looking at that mistake and then reevaluating in that. And we do that a lot in science as well, when we're looking at our science fair projects, what went right, what went wrong, how can we solve a problem? You know, our scientists aren't solving cancer in one shot or other issues, you know, keeping food safe, keeping it edible. It's all a process that is so important that every student learn.
Okay, that's perfect.
Wait,
so now
Katie,
we have,
did you have
So I have something to add to that as the special ed teacher to the math and science person. This is why it takes all of us. To take everything that Kim just said, which is absolutely 100% correct, and streamline it to my ADHD brain genuinely of like, well, that was a lot of information, is yet. When I talk to my students and they say, I can't, I'll say yet. I can't do that yet. So if you add yet to some of the negative statements is a trick that I use in my classroom, or I don't know how to do that yet. So let me show you. And that one word can change just a mindset to possibility. And I find that everything that Kim just said is exactly spot on, and I can get it down to that one word. And even if they can't do it yet or ever, depending on their needs, with the right support, you can do it. It's just how much support do you need? Do you need, it's speaking special ed lingo here, do you need a partial physical support to be able to do this task? Do you need just a reminder of the cue? Do you need, do you need to be successful? But it's not yet. And I've just seen everything that you guys just described, just the pivot of, oh, I never thought of that. I can't do it yet. And then we're on our way. So that's another tip.
Well, Katie,
I like that. Yeah, that's easy to remember.
yeah.
I want to say real quick, Katie, and I'll be done with it. But you asked me. The flip side of that not yet is something that I really discourage and ask my students not to say in class. And that is, oh, that was easy. Because how does that make the rest of the students feel, the ones who struggled and didn't get there yet, Katie? So those two simple things, keeping that was easy. It was easy because you've seen it before, because you practiced, because you had help. And just because you're there, other people are not there yet. So
I love that.
Love
that.
So that is the perfect like dovetail, because we've talked about security, we've talked about rigor and pushing themselves. Growth mindset gives us the resilience to push through as we push ourselves. And now we come to fashionista. So what do fashionista teachers give students that allow them to thrive in the classroom? What's the thing we're missing?
The relationships. They're all about relationships and like connecting with the kids.
And with that connection, I'm sorry. With that connection, the kids feel valued and cared about. That relationship that you build with them is so important.
So we've got security, rigor, resilience, embracing struggle, right? Growth mindset. And now we've got the importance of connection in the classroom, and we're only missing our hippies. So what do our hippies bring? That's kind of the final thing that allows all of our students to learn and thrive.
I mean, hippies
Peace and freedom.
Yeah, they allow them freedom to learn how they need to. or to like explore the concept in the way that works best for them.
Yeah. And as they get to be their true and authentic self as a student, they get to contribute the way they want to contribute, not the way the teacher expects them to contribute. So maybe it's not a test, but they do an art project. Maybe they want to read a novel instead of write a short story. But the hippie teacher reminds us that for a student to feel meaningful, they have to be, one, accepted, and two, be able to contribute. And every student contributes to our classroom, and we have to make room to honor and welcome their contributions. And when we honor and welcome their contributions, that's really key to the final piece for every student being able to thrive. And so often our hardest kids, or the kids we think are hard, are just looking for a place to contribute, a way to be valued in their own independent process.
I love that so much.
I feel good.
I know this is rejuvenating, like
So then
starting off the school year of like, okay, this is what they need. I can do this. You can do this. We can do this.
This is an easy list to work from. And, you know, if you don't feel as confident in yourself as a teacher to allow your students to have that freedom, or you need help with growth mindset, then you go to those teachers on your campus and you say, hey, what do you do in your classroom that really pushes your students in this direction? Or how do you build relationships? Or how do you include rigor? And that's what is so beautiful about our styles, is everybody works together so well.
A few weeks ago, we actually talked about who you can trust on your campus, how you know who you can trust. And in that video, what you just said, Candace, reminded me of that's why we're here as FLAIR. If you don't know who you can trust and you don't know who that is and you feel very vulnerable, reach out to us. We are veteran people. If we don't know the answer, we know people who do. And so we want to support you and not just encourage you, like everything we've said when you watch this video. If you have somebody in mind to go talk to, awesome. But if you're like, I don't know, reach out to us. This is why we're here. We want to help you be able to do those things and be that confident person in your own style.
So you can give your students everything they need to be 100% in your class.
So they can take the quiz and contribute by liking and subscribing, and also telling us what teacher style you are, and if you have ideas about any of the things we talked about today. So please share things you use to make your students feel safe, things to increase rigor, things to get them to embrace struggling, and hard challenges, things to create connection, and finally, interesting and unique ways that they can contribute and bring meaning to your classroom.
I love it. We can do that.
Everybody
Just made
can
it
do
possible.
With a little help, everybody can do it.
Thank you, Angie, for that great list. I feel like that's an easy checklist. I can just put it up. Am I doing these things for my kids when things start to feel a little unbalanced?
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. I can't wait for more exciting discussions. This was awesome, you guys. I really appreciate you.
All right.
Please watch the video, like, share, and subscribe.
Yay!
Remember, we FLAIR because we care. We love you all.